Hey everybody, John here from the esports department doing tomorrow morning's LEC slate. We just finished up today's LEC slate not very long ago, coming in straight fresh off of the results today, looking at what we got tomorrow. It starts off, well, I don't think this is the first match on the slate, but first game for us, G2 minus 135, 7-7 on the season. Fnatic, even money, 7-7 on the season. Both teams are motivated. You can see in the playoff standings, both teams at 7-7. Every win counts from here if you want to stay in the playoff race. There's 3 teams nipping right at the heels of the 7-7 teams on 6-8. Whoever loses that game will be 7-8. They'll be tied with any of those 3 teams that win, fighting over those last playoff spots. Getting the win to go to 8-7 would be really, really big for either one of these teams. I have not included the updated stats from today's games because it's going to take too long if I waited for that. We'd be doing this video too close to lock tomorrow. So I'll use the stats from before then. I do think the stats don't paint the whole picture for this one. Fnatic leads in pretty much every category, but I think it's pretty obvious to anyone who's been watching recently that Fnatic has kind of stagnated on this split. They've been making a bit of a push as of late, but they're not looking nearly as good, I don't think, as G2 looked yesterday. I think G2 looks like they're starting to get it together here. Excuse me. And I would expect them to beat Fnatic tomorrow personally. Looking at their pricing, I just want to check that out because this is one of the cheapest you're ever going to get G2 probably. I'm guessing they'll be pretty popular, only 7,200, 7,600 for caps, 7,800 for perks. So they're going to be extremely popular, I think, especially given that Fnatic looked pretty bad in their loss today. But it's also probably the cheapest you're ever going to get G2, so it's hard not to play them when they're in a spot like that, for sure. Let me just make sure all these people that are not playing are out of my pool here before we keep talking. Okay, I think we're good here. So I do lean pretty heavily towards G2 for this matchup, but, you know, I mean, Fnatic is a live underdog, and I'm guessing they're extremely cheap if G2 is that cheap. 6,200 for self-made. Nemesis is 6,200, so you can play, you know, carry captain with any other team on the slate with Fnatic, so they're definitely playable. I do not want people going in here thinking Fnatic is not going to be playable on the slate because their ownership especially probably should not be is not going to be where it should be, playing against a G2 that has struggled at points in this split. But I do lean G2 as a favorite to win this one for sure. Second game of the day, SK Gaming plus 175. They are 7-7 on the season, up against Rogue minus 245, 11-3 on the season. Rogue managed to pull out their win against Fnatic today. They looked pretty good doing it. I will say, when I said Fnatic looked bad earlier, it's only because they put themselves in a very good position to win the game and then didn't win it. They missed some very crucial stuff at very crucial times. But they did compete with Rogue, so maybe it was the wrong thing to say that they looked bad today. Because it was more of a late-game execution error that cost them, and that is something that I personally counted on Fnatic to do correctly, and they did not do it correctly. So that bothered me from that. But, you know, Rogue looks solid. I will say SK is motivated. They are one of these teams that's in the 7-7 tie here. They'd like to get as many wins as they can. Rogue, not really motivated at all. All they need to do is keep top 2, and you can see there's really not any danger of them not making the top 2. So they're definitely willing to experiment and mess around here. I do think SK is an extremely live dog. That being said, Rogue matches are not usually places that you want to target. A 15.7 for SK to a 13.6 for Rogue, you're looking at like a 14.5-ish expectation for SK, even if they do win. So we'll have to look at the projections when they come up. I'm guessing that this is a game that you could maybe stay away from and not feel too bad about it. Rogue is a very deserved favorite. I just think SK, especially being motivated versus a non-motivated Rogue. And once again, I'll reiterate in case anyone missed last video, when I say not motivated, I don't mean that they are going to come out here and just not care if they lose. They want to win. It's more that they're willing to try more diverse stuff and take more risks in the draft and in their play style. Not that they're not going to try to win. They're definitely going to try to win. Third match of the day, Schalke 04. Plus 150, 4-2 on the season against OG, minus 205, 6-8 on the season. Schalke is not motivated at all. They are eliminated from everything pretty much. Origin is must win. They're now down at 6-8. They cannot lose another game. They will need to win this one. And I think they should be maybe even a bigger than minus 205 favorite. I know Schalke has looked better in recent times. They beat XL today, which was not something I expected. That being said, I think Origin dispatches them in this matchup and at least stays in the playoff race. I don't foresee Schalke beating them. When you look at the stats, 1644 to 1706, it's only a minus 19 for Origin versus minus 174 for Schalke. Advantages in both First Blood, First Turret, and Dragon percentage for OG. And at 15 minutes, they have a significantly better, only a minus 44 versus a minus 630 for Schalke. Schalke has given up more points recently than they had in the past, but this still doesn't grade out to be a super bloody game. We're going to have to look at the projections for that one as well, because first instinct says maybe this is one we could look away from as well, but we're going to have to look at the stats. Next up, Misfits, minus 130, 6-8 on the season. XL, minus 105, 6-8 on the season. An extremely crucial matchup for both of these teams. XL, this is must win for both teams. They're right next to each other in the standings. They're competing with each other, which makes it just even more important. The winner of this, or the loser of this, is probably eliminated from playoffs. So we are literally, this is a win to have a shot matchup. Very, very high stakes for both teams. Statistically, 1734 for Misfits to 1758 for XL. XL a little bit better in gold differential per minute, minus 13 to minus 54. They have the First Blood, First Turret advantage, but Misfits with a very small Dragon percentage, 4% advantage. At 15 minutes, XL is plus 400, Misfits is minus 237. I gotta lean XL again, man. I mean, XL has been so two-faced this season. They've had some games where they just looked so good, and some other games like today where they did not look very good. That said, I still believe in XL here. I think they're going to win this matchup. This matchup, especially with the must-win nature on both sides, definitely feels non-targetable to me. A 15.1 for XL, 16.1 DPL for Misfits, mid-15s for XL, which is not super exciting. The Misfits side is abysmal. It's like very low 14s in expectation. So I think you can definitely avoid the Misfits side. If you look at the pricing, let's have a look at the pricing, because that's key for me here as well. XL's just so cheap, dude. 5,400, 5,800, 66, 7,000 for Patrick. Yeah, I mean XL's I'm gonna have to play some XL at that kind of price range. I will say they're probably going to get some ownership at that pricing, but yeah, I think I have to pick up some XL at that kind of price against Misfits. All the stats pretty much leaning towards XL. So going to the last game of the day. Mad Lions, Vitality, no motivation on either side. Vitality was essentially eliminated from playoffs today. I don't think 7 and 9 is really capable of getting there. It's possible that maybe there's an outside chance of it, but I don't think so. So you have two teams that don't care. Significant advantage to Mad Lions. I think Mad Lions makes a pretty good play tomorrow, I gotta say. Versus another non-motivated team. Mad Lions already the bloodiest team in the LEC. Perfect spot to be picking them up. As usual, this is the kind of matchup where there's really no statistical reason to be on Vitality. Mad's just been among the best or the best team in the league in almost every metric, and Vitality's just kind of a middle-of-the-table team. Scoring-wise, they have been giving up 16.5 deaths per loss to the 17.7 kill per win for Mad, so high expectation for Mad. They seem like a good team to pair with some of your favorite underdogs, like an XL or something could easily go with Mad Lions. They probably will be extremely chalky, though. G2 and Fnatic, I will say, have a history of having extremely bloody games, so it's possible that even the extremely high kill per win for G2 and death per loss for Fnatic don't even really tell the full story of how bloody this series could be. It's really hard to tell where the ownership is going to go between Mad and G2. G2 has a much tougher matchup, but I think that matchup has very high upside. So let's try to take a gauge here at where the ownership could land on a slate like this. Mad, Vitality, OG, Schalke, Rogue, SK, Misfits, XL, Schalke, and oh no, we already did Schalke and OG. Which one am I missing? Fnatic and G2? Okay. So the highest two teams. Sorry guys, little dog issue there. So I think Mad and G2 are definitely going to be the two highest teams on the slate. I think it's pretty unlikely that they wouldn't be. I doubt we're going to see too many people targeting SK with how good Rogue has been lately. They're going to be down here by the bottom for sure. Schalke, I don't know if Schalke has gotten their respect back yet. Vitality will definitely be one of the lowest owned teams on the slate, possibly the lowest owned team on the slate. I don't think Schalke will have much ownership, even though they'll have some. So now we have to fill in this middle portion. So who's most likely to be played? Fnatic will have some ownership. I think XL will be pretty high. Rogue has a pretty easy matchup. They might not be super owned. This is a tough one, which I do think is good. I've always said on these videos that the harder it is for me to predict the ownership, the better it is for everyone. So this is probably a good thing for us. I wouldn't be surprised to see Misfits all the way down here because they're so expensive for the fact that they're playing against probably a team that should beat them in theory. XL should be pretty highly owned. Rogue will probably have decent ownership. I think OG could be all the way down here. We could have Fnatic right here. Rogue, I think people have kind of grown on Rogue. Mad, G2, Rogue, XL, Fnatic, with XL and Fnatic being the two highest targeted underdogs. Maybe OG comes up above there. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so Vitality, SK, and Schalke I think are probably your three lowest teams. Mad, G2, and Rogue I'm pretty confident are your three highest. And then the middle I think is correct. It's more of a matter of whether they're in the right spots in their in their order. You could see XL drop down a spot or two, but I think they'll be pretty targeted against Misfits, being able to get you into some of these big teams that you want to be on. Fnatic's an alternate team that can get you on some of those teams. Possible Fnatic might be a little bit lower. People might not be as interested in Fnatic. Misfits, what is Misfits pricing? Like, they're kind of expensive, right? Let's see. 64. No, you know what? Misfits is going to be higher. They're not that expensive. OG, 72 in mid, 68 in the jungle. I'm actually going to bump Misfits 2 spots because they're cheap enough that they're going to be able to give you quote-unquote double favorites. I actually don't really think they should be a favorite over XL, but they're going to give you double favorites. So XL and Misfits should both be pretty highly owned. They're good targets for anybody that's trying to get up to Mad and G2, I think. That makes the most sense to me. Let's look at the favorites. We will, let's see. It is Misfits that's technically the favorite, yep. So we'll do Misfits, Mad Lions, G2, Origin, and Rogue. In the top lane, it's Origin. So Origin's just kill participation and stuff, especially out of Alphari, is just really carrying them in fantasy scoring. Arome next, G2 in third. It's Rogue and Misfits at the bottom. In the jungle, it's still Rogue and Misfits at the bottom, but Shadow is in first place with Yankos next. Xerxes drops down there. I imagine Nuke Duck will be the lowest mid. Second lowest mid. But he's almost always down there. Larson jumps up, so he kind of switches places with Nuke Duck as far as Rogue and OG's spots on average. Hansama, decent projection. Perks very low. Not surprising, man. Just not a good season from Perks. He used to be must target on almost every slate, and these days you can definitely leave him out of your G2 stacks, even if you're heavy on G2. But Mad showing up very nicely. Mad and G2 once again at the support position. Misfits staying down near the bottom. Misfits seems like a unanimous pretty much bottom scorer, so a team that maybe you don't want to be targeting. I'm guessing if we were to go look at the underdogs real quick. Yeah, XL kind of showing up down there as well. They're in the mid there. Fnatic doing pretty well if they win. Schalke showing up pretty well. Vitality, I would imagine if Vitality wins, their score will be very, very nice. I don't expect it, but you never know. With an unmotivated, playing against an unmotivated Mad Lions, there's a chance, man. They might do something very weird against Vitality. I don't think Vitality is out of the running at all as far as a team to take on this slate, and their expected scoring is extremely good if they get there. But as far as the favorites go, again, sorry, let me switch back to them. I just wanted to take a quick look. It looks like you're going to get G2, Mad Lions, maybe Rogue or OG, but G2 and Mad Lions definitely the top targets, and that's kind of, I think, what we would have thought. That's pretty much every week that either G2, Mad Lions, or one of their opponents is the top potential fantasy point targets. Let's look at possible cash lineups. Mad is minus 345. Rogue minus 245. So let's see. In theory, if we wanted to play the biggest Vegas line favorites, you can get a 4 Rogue with 2 Mad Lions lineup. That leaves us at 212.3. What if we were willing to take a little risk and play G2? What if we were willing to play Mad Lions in G2? All the way up at 220. If we were willing to go with Rogue in G2, 223. And that's actually Cap's Captain. It's still 4 Rogue, but that's Cap's Captain. That's kind of impressive, which means you could probably, if you really believed, you probably actually might want the upside scoring of, can you get Yanko's Captain? Wonder and Caps, Hansama, Mickey. Just slightly short of that. You could play Inspired as your captain and play Yankos down here, and you could afford it. That might be another option if you wanted to play 4G2 if you think that they're going to have kind of an upside spot there. OG I think is reasonably safe, but let's see. Let's just to double check. OG and G2 gets you to about 223. Hold on, what was Rogue G2 again? 223.1. Origin in G2 gets you to 223.7. A lot of different cash options you could technically go with here on varying levels of risk. What about Origin and Mad Lions? 211, so that's not breaking any numbers there. And 221 for Origin and Rogue. So it looks like you have to decide, as usual, between how safe you want to play this. If you go with one of these G2 lineups, you're going to get better upside. You can play it really safe with like a G2 Mad Lions or a G2 Rogue. I think G2 Rogue might actually be even safer. Or you can go extremely close to the vest and just play Rogue and Mad Lions, but you lose a little bit of upside on that. I don't think Rogue is one of your best targets on this slate, so you're going to lose a little bit of upside on that. But for me, I think you're probably safe going G2. I think honestly I might lean towards going with G2 Mad. It feels reasonably safe, and it loses a couple points of upside. Maybe you go G2 Rogue instead, because if you're going to take the risk on G2, maybe you want the safety of Rogue to give you that 223.1. That feels like a sweet spot, but I wouldn't blame you at all if you just went Rogue and Mad and just try to let other people gamble on this G2 Fnatic matchup. I wouldn't blame you at all for that one either. So that's the LEC for tomorrow morning, guys, letting you know what's going on there. Good luck with the rest of the slates today. I know sometimes the videos can be a little bit short on these weekend slates since I have to do 3 videos and research for 3 different slates throughout the course of the day, so I have to speed along to get to the next thing as quick as I can, but hopefully all the information you needed was in there. Hit me up on the Discord or Twitter if you need to talk to me about anything. I'm always there to help. Happy to have a conversation about anything you like, and I will talk to you guys later. Good luck on this one.